Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today, I'm bringing you another casual sit down and chat type of video. And in this one, I actually had watched a video recently. And there's been plenty of videos like this in the past about Rocket League's ranking system being broken. And I thought to myself, well, what is an actual solution? How can they actually make the ranking system better? And I think it was maybe mentioned in the video using people's in-game score, and obviously everyone knows that using in-game score as a means to measuring how much MMR somebody gets from a game, it's not a good way currently to reward people for playing, because currently you can be a very good teammate and a very good player in a game and not end up with that many points. At the same time, you could be a ball chaser. You could be somebody who is needlessly and aimlessly and detrimentally aggressive and gets a lot of points, but you still end up losing the game, or you win the game, but it's not going to be a reliable way to win in the future. And so, you might, if you were to implement this form of ranking based on your in-game score, you might get more MMR than somebody who deserved it more, or more than you deserved for that game. So I was wondering to myself, how can we improve upon this? And the answer was, to me, that it just means there needs to be more metrics in game that are scored, more meaningful things in game that, good teammates and good players do on a game-to-game basis that should be given points in game. And then that should allow Psyonix and Epic Games to reward people based on their in-game score, based on their in-game performance, and have it be a more accurate representation of if they are deserving of the MMR or not. And so you see, I have my notepad here. I was gonna sit here and brainstorm things that could be scored and given points for in game. But I was like, man, this is tough, and it's gonna take me a long time to come up with a meaningful list of things. So what I did instead was I asked ChatGPT, and here we are. It was a great, before I go and show it, it was a great decision to ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a wonderful tool, and it came up with a great couple of answers. I've read through about half of them so far that it's generated. So we'll go over those, and then the other half that I haven't read through yet will be fresh to me, and you'll get a fresh reaction. And we'll see, does it make sense? Would it be a good thing to implement? Would they be able to implement it easily? And then we'll see from there, after we've read everything, if the conversation is worth continuing further with ChatGPT and see if we can delve deeper into this topic. So let's see where this conversation started here. I asked ChatGPT, are you familiar with the game Rocket League and how it keeps track of players' score in game? It said, yes, Rocket League tracks players' scores in game based on various actions performed during a match. The scoring system rewards players for offensive, defensive, and team-based plays. Here's a breakdown of how it works. And then it gives a breakdown of all of the points that you get rewarded for. If anyone's wondering how you get points in game, boom, there's a list for you right there. I actually forgot that you got rewarded for bicycle hits. I think I knew you got rewarded for first touches, aerial hits. I actually was not aware that you got 10 points for hitting the ball in the air. I actually did not know that. I knew everything else. So really the biggest surprise was aerial hits. I actually didn't know about that. Did you know about that? Comment down below if you knew that you got points for all of these different things in the game. And then it goes on to say, the game prioritizes team play and skillful moves rather than just goals, ensuring that defensive and supportive roles also earn points. Are you asking about this for general understanding, or do you need some help with something specific? I said, what other things in game do you think you could gain points for that would further incentivize not only good solo play, but also team play? I ask because I wonder if Psyonix could make their ranking system better by more accurately placing players using their performance game to game. Currently, there aren't enough measurable metrics that are scored in-game to show whether a player was a good or a bad teammate on an individual in a game. ChatGPT responded and said, that's a great point. Rocket League's ranking system could be improved by incorporating additional measurable metrics that better reflect a player's overall contribution, not just the traditional stats. Right now, a player can have a huge impact without earning many points, making the ranking system somewhat inaccurate. Like I mentioned before. Here are some additional scoreable actions that could improve both solo and team play tracking. First, defensive play enhancements. Number 1, it says shadow defense bonus. Staying in a defensive position between the ball and your goal for an extended time could reward disciplined play. I read this first one and I wasn't super impressed. And here's why. I don't want to incentivize players to be too passive, right? If you're just trying to rack up points and you're always facing your goal, if you're always shadowing, but you shouldn't be shadowing, right? Say you're on offense or it's in the midfield and really you should be challenging the ball, but instead you're turned back shadowing. You could be getting points for that and thinking you're doing a good thing when really you should be challenging the ball. So I actually didn't really like this one. I don't want to incentivize players to be shadow defending when they should be prioritizing challenging, trying to challenge in the midfield, maintain possession, etc. And plus, I would find this to be, this also just doesn't seem like something that would be very easily scored and kept track of by the game engine, right? I don't see how they could easily determine whether somebody is shadow defending. And you'll see more of what I mean and how different examples could be a lot easier implemented into the game as we continue down this list. But I continued reading. I wasn't impressed with the first one, but I'm glad I kept going because there's some really good ones coming up. Number 2, back post rotation bonus, rotating correctly into the back post position when defending. At first, I thought I wouldn't like this one because this is a debated topic. Some people think that, will disagree that there are situations where back post rotation is or is not the optimal play, and that sometimes rotating near post is the more optimal play. But if you've been watching me for, a little while now, my last couple of handful of videos, I have further in depth been able to explain what back post rotation truly means. If you haven't been around for those videos, I'll try to remember to put a card up on the screen or some links in the descriptions or a comment in the comment section pinning to those videos. Sorry if I don't remember, I will try to. And if you're really interested, leave me a comment and I will definitely get back to you with those links. But essentially, back post rotation is relevant to which direction the ball is getting challenged from. That's what more so, back post is not just the opposite side of the field from the ball. If the ball is on, let's say you're in your net looking upfield, the ball's in your left half. So you would assume the right half is back post. But if the ball is getting pushed, your teammate is challenging the ball from left to right and they're moving the play to the right side of your net with their challenge, then that right side is no longer back post. Back post would become the left side. So, if they properly were to implement this and base what they're judging back post to be based on maybe what direction the next player challenging is facing, this is going to be a tough one to implement as well. This is not the best, easiest one to implement, but I'm sure that they could find a way to implement it in such a way. If your teammate challenges and they were facing to the right when they challenged, it's not perfect. Perhaps they challenged in a bad way and they shouldn't have been facing to the right when they went for a 50-50 on the ball, etc., etc. This one's not perfect either, but it's something. It's not bad. They might be able to come up with a way to implement this one. This is just, and I'm sure I could ask ChatGPT to explain how to implement X idea that it spat out. All right, this one I remember I really liked. Successful 50-50 wins. Winning a contested ball challenge. This is a great idea. Could you imagine getting points for your team being the next player to touch the ball, your teammates being the next ones to touch the ball after you take a 50-50? You get points for that. That's a super easy one to implement. A great idea. There's never a time where you're going for a 50-50 and it's optimal for the opponents to have the next touch. This is a great idea. I like this one a lot. Definitely should be implemented into the game. Or defensive passing, clearing the ball with a pass to a teammate instead of booming it aimlessly. Another great one. You're in your defensive half. Does the touch you make get touched next by your teammate? Does your teammate get the next touch after your touch? If so, you get points for it. I like it a lot. I think it's a great one. Easily implemented. Something else you can get points for being a good player, good teammate. Okay, now we move on to the next category. It spat out for us: team play focused additions. Give and go bonus. Passing to a teammate and then immediately receiving a return pass. Another really good one and another really easy one to implement. Is your touch to a teammate? Does your teammate get the next touch after your touch? Yes. If so, does that touch then from that player come back to you and you get the next touch? If so, you guys both probably. I don't know, maybe you'd only give it to the person who initiated this sequence, but then hey, maybe you give it back to them again and now you get points and they get points because it's a 3-touch sequence, right? First touch, second touch, and then third touch back to the first touch, right? And then if you give it back to them, all of a sudden they completed that sequence as well. So then you both get points. So then it incentivizes even more passes. And imagine chaining that together 3 times. You make 6 freaking passes back and forth. You both just farmed 30, 45 points, whatever. You know, I think this is a great idea. Another easy one to implement. Yeah, great one. Moving on. Infield pass bonus. This one was a little bit tricky. I was thinking about how they could implement this one correctly. Successfully passing the ball into the middle of the field, leading to a shot or play continuation. So I thought it kind of sounded like it would have some overlap with this one: defensive passing, clearing the ball with a pass to a teammate. So if you're in your defensive half and you hit the ball and your teammate gets the next touch, you get points for that based on this one. Kind of sounds like the same thing as this one, but you could change this one by restricting it to only touches made in the midfield, right? So if you divide the field up in 3 sections going forwards to backwards, right? Your defensive half, the midfield, and the offensive half, or offensive third, defensive third, middle third, plays infield passes, so passes to the middle of the field from the outside of the field. And if you've got 3 lanes going forwards and sideways, if you're on the outside lanes and you pass to the middle lane and you're within that middle field third, you complete this bonus. I like it. I think it's good. I think the more of these that they can implement, the better, especially if we're going to try to rank players based on their in-game score and in-game performance. I think the more you have, the more information you can base somebody's performance on, I think is better. What I'm trying to say is I don't think you can really overdo it with adding too many of these into the game. Bump/disrupt bonus, another really good one that I liked. Bumping an opponent off the ball without demolishing them. Whether you demolish them or not, I don't think matters for this one. But imagine you get a bump on a player who's within maybe like 2 car lengths of the ball, you get bonus points for that. Or you demo a player who's within 2 car lengths of the ball, you get points for that. Think of you're going for an air double bump. Think of you make a pass and then you go for a bump, right? I think it said earlier, you don't get points for demos, no points. And you don't obviously get points for just bumping a player. So this would be a really good implementation into the game. Again, another easy one to keep track of, to implement into the engine. This one I didn't really, maybe you guys can come up with something in the comments down below. This one I did not see a way that would be easily implemented into the game. Effective fake bonus. How, let me read it. Faking a hit and forcing an opponent to commit earlier, leading to a goal or advantage. This one's a stretch. I don't see how you could really determine in game whether something was a fake or not. Doesn't really make sense to me. So I didn't really see any value in that one, but that's actually where I stopped. I haven't read the rest coming up now. So this is all going to be fresh off the top of my head. And let's see what else this thing came up with. Okay, moving on to number 9, solo play and offensive improvements. Wall pinch clear bonus. Successfully pinching the ball off the wall for a powerful clear. I don't know about that one because usually a pinch clear is just giving possession back to the opponents. I'm not sure I would reward people for doing that. I guess if they do that, then they're missing out on a previous opportunity to earn points, right? Like, which one was it? Defensive passing you would be missing out on unless your teammate. Oh, well, this one we decided would be in our own center third or back third. You probably wouldn't get the infield pass bonus because, again, we were talking about midfield. If you pinch clear a ball If your teammate gets the next touch, it's probably going to be towards the outside of the map as the ball rolls around the walls, and most likely also in your opponent's offensive half. So you probably would miss out on getting those points, which you could argue means they could include this because yes, you're getting points for this, but you're missing out on more points. So this one's kind of iffy on whether I would say they should implement it. Overall, I would probably say no, because I don't think it's necessary. I think we've already seen a lot of good examples of things that they for sure should implement, that I don't think we need to be putting in things that are iffy on whether it's good or bad. So I think we could skip on this one. Sonics, if you're watching this, I don't think you should implement this one. Let's continue on. Dribble success, carrying the ball past an opponent and maintaining possession. That could be good. Easy to track. If you've got the ball on your car, if the ball is touching your car and you carry it, I mean, that would involve cutting, right? Because if you flick it, the ball is going to be not touching your car anymore. And then at that point, it becomes hard to implement into the system, right? The system doesn't know that you outplayed this player with a flick. It just knows that the ball is no longer in your possession, right? So implementing that in that way would be hard. So it would have to be like a ground cut, right? Where the ball was on your car the entire time. This one kind of would be hard to implement. Again, any of these down below, leave a comment if you can think of an easy way to implement these that I'm not really thinking of right now. Plus, I don't want to take too long to go through all this, make the video too long, but we're just going through what ChatGPT gave me. Number 11, controlled air dribble, carrying the ball in the air for a controlled play rather than just hitting it forward. Not bad, not bad. Pretty easy to probably recognize in the system when somebody's air dribbling. Are they making consecutive touches? Are they in the air? Probably would be all you really need. Again, you can argue that sometimes air dribbling versus just hitting the ball is not the optimal play. Sometimes just hitting the ball would be the better play. But again, that's where some of these overlap, right? Some of these point bonuses overlap. So if you were to just hit the ball, well, if your team gets the next touch, then we saw one of these other bonuses, you'll get rewarded for that. So it's I think acceptable to implement some of these, and that's the neat thing about this is they overlap. So if one thing is hard to say whether it's good to implement, like this one I was talking about, the wall pinch clear, well, sure, maybe you'll get 15 points for doing this, but you'll miss out on 45 other points that you could have gotten had other requirements for the bonuses been met, right? Your teammates getting the next touch, your teammates getting a shot for the assist, etc., etc. So I think you guys understand what I mean. I think, again, the more of these you implement, the better, because again, this guy might get 15 points for clearing and pinching, but he won't get those other 45 points. Meanwhile, somebody who's being a better teammate and doing more for the team and deserves to be a higher MMR is still going to come out ahead with more points because they're doing more of the other things that give points. So I guess we don't have to be so concerned with rewarding unoptimal plays, because at the end of the day, the people who are doing the most optimal things are going to be earning the most points. Maybe that's a better way to look at it. Instead of trying to not implement things because we don't want to incentivize bad decisions, implement them, it's fine, and let the point system determine whether it was a bad decision or not, based on, does your team get the next touch? Does your teammate get a shot? Does it work as a pass, etc., etc. So going on, solo play goal bonus, scoring after dribbling or air dribbling past a defender, rewarding mechanical skill. Not bad, I like that. Bonus points for scoring using your mechanics. Cool, not bad, I like it. All right, mental and strategic play. Interesting, let's see what they've got for us here. 13, rotate back quickly bonus. Ooh, if a player moves back into position after a failed attack rather than overcommitting, what deems a failed attack? How do you judge that? You got to keep in mind when you're coming up with stuff like this, how do we put this into the engine? How do we make the engine recognize when one of these things is happening? How do you make the engine recognize that an attack was a failed attack? Maybe you get the touch, the ball goes into the offensive third, but then the defenders get the next touch. I don't know. Again, if with more thought and maybe just by asking ChatGPT, maybe we'll do a part 2 to this video and follow up with those, further questions that need to be asked. 14, boost share bonus. Picking up small boost pads instead of stealing a teammate's full boost when they needed more. Wow. Getting points for picking up boosts. Maybe every 50 boosts that you fill up with small pads, you get points for. That sounds fucking fantastic. Put that into the game. That's a great idea. Hell yeah, good shit, ChatGPT. Next one. 15, pre-jump save bonus. Successfully saving a shot with a pre-jump, rewarding anticipation rather than reaction. I mean, I guess, sure. I mean, why not reward somebody for pre-jumping? It feels good when you pre-jump, right? I mean, give them points, maybe. This one could be controversial because a lot of the times in ranked, you probably shouldn't be pre-jumping a lot of the time. Sometimes there are instances where you have to pre-jump in order to have a chance to save, but other times, most of the time, pre-jumping is kind of a recipe for disaster. So that one's a little controversial, but like we were talking about on the other ones, hey, put the controversial ones in. The overall score at the end of the game will determine who did more things right anyways, so it doesn't really matter that much. By tracking these stats, the ranking system could more accurately place players based on skill and teamwork, rather than just goals and saves. Agreed. It would also help weed out ball chasers and selfish players who don't contribute to team success, like we opened the video with. I like that. Would you want Psyonix to introduce some sort of performance score metric that contributes to ranking rather than just win/loss? Yes, that's what I'm saying here. Thank you, ChatGPT. That's what I'm saying. Now, do you guys think they should completely just go off of performance score, or do you think it should be a combination of wins, losses, and your performance score? Maybe you earn more MMR for a win if you have a higher performance score, or you lose less MMR for a loss if you have a higher performance score, and vice versa. That would be a good idea, and it would also probably be a good idea just going off of solely the performance score. Let me know what you guys think. I think it should definitely be off of wins, losses, and the performance score, because if you've got one Plat player and 2 SSLs on a team, those SSLs could probably be on the receiving end of enough of the Platinum's plays and touches to get them enough points to rank up. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But yes, this, Psyonix, if you're watching, do a quick ChatGPT search on what I just asked it. Get 50 more responses from ChatGPT, implement them into the game, and you could make your ranking system better just like that. Guys, this was pretty interesting. I liked making this video. And like I said, I would like to make a part 2, maybe asking ChatGPT to go further in depth on how it thinks that these things could be implemented into the game on the ones where I was kind of confused on how you would do so. Let me know if you want to see that. Let me know if you liked the video. Leave a like on it if you did. Share it. Get this video posted around so that Psyonix can see it and implement it into the game. Probably won't happen, but hey, we can all hope, right? I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.